Alrighty, Vancouver did it. They're moving on in the CONCACAF Champions Cup final, and honestly, I don't think this result could surprise anyone. Just like what I said in the first leg, we knew that coming into this game, as much as there's been the talk of can Vancouver repeat what they did against Inter Miami. Well, if you watch this team play for the last 2 months, I think the answer is probably a resounding yes. I mean, this game felt like a very Vancouver Whitecaps CONCACAF Champions Cup away game where they definitely faced some adversity, at least early in this game when Miami quickly got a goal back and looked like they were going to start the comeback. And then the second half happened and they pretty much scored that crucial away goal, and the rest is history after that. Now, in the first half, I thought Vancouver actually had more share of the ball, which was kind of interesting because, coming into this game, there was no doubt that Miami was going to play the same style as they did in the last game. They're going to dominate the possession. The Whitecaps maybe sit back a little bit and try to hit on the transition. But in the eighth minute, Miami gets the opening goal as Jordi Alba would score from Suarez to make it 1-0 in favor of Inter Miami. And I got to say, that is one that Yohei Takaoka will want to have back. I mean, that was not really a great goal to concede in Takaoka perspective. He got a hand toward that one. Probably should have read that one away. But nevertheless, here we go. Inter Miami, we're up 1-0. The crowd was definitely sensing that. Yep, looks like the comeback is definitely on with this team. And then Alande did look to get the second goal and look to tie the aggregate straight away, but he hits this one right to Takaoka. And this is kind of when I wrote the Whitecaps, they look like they're rattled at the back end. Miami looks like they were trying to take advantage of it. But again, if there's one thing you want to know about this Vancouver team is that they might be rattled at times, but they will always find ways to regain their focus. And it was kind of interesting the fact that it only took them a couple of minutes before they regained their focus and almost got an away goal as the post would deny Sabi from point blank. And this was kind of almost a gift for Vancouver. But at the same time, I also could have wrote early, can this moment haunt Vancouver, knowing that, we've seen this story before where Miami seems to have this voodoo magic against opposition of no matter how their opposition are creating the chances, aren't able to capitalize. And this is going to be one of those teams that the Whitecaps are kind of got trapped in this voodoo magic of not able to put this game really to bed. And again, it's one that Miami really got away with it because Falcon actually slipped here and committed WT at turnover, and they were very lucky the fact that the game wasn't tied at one apiece up to this point. White then hits it right to Ustavi before Vite hits one right to Ustavi as well. As Vancouver looked like they definitely root up to this point. They were pressing for that vital away goal. Messi would then whiff one from point blank. Yeah, that is something you usually do not get to say a lot with the greatest player of all time. And there was even kind of a hint throughout this broadcast they were talking about is Father Time maybe starting to catch up to some of these Miami superstar players because we have seen in these last couple of weeks they have not been the same. I think it could be a part of that, but it also could be the fatigueness that you can see this Miami team and these superstar players are starting to suffer. They play a lot of games throughout this early part of the season, and it's not going to get any easier from them either. As we get into the summer, they're going to be playing more games with the way that they'll be participating in the FIFA Club World Cup and also the Leagues Cup, if I'm not mistaken. But in the 40th minute, Taco, or actually no, before I mention that, the game did kind of slow down a little bit after flurry of chances after Miami scored the opening goal. It was a very entertaining start to this game, but it did kind of slow down a bit. Takaoka then tipped Messi free kick shot over before Suarez heads it wide from the corner. Alande then had a shot that was deflected and goes right to Takaoka. And Miami will once again ramping up the pressure, trying to get this second goal and tie the aggregate score. But again, there's one thing we know about this Vancouver team is that for more times than not, when they do face some adversity, they're able to ride out of it, and they ride out of that one and head to halftime with Miami leading 1-0, but still down a goal in the aggregate. So you're thinking, well, Vancouver might suffer more pressure heading into the second half. You just kind of had a sense that, as long as Miami continued to put the pressure, eventually they're going to get the goal, right? Well, no. Instead, in the second half, it feels like Jasper Sorensen had a different message. It feels like he wants to be aggressive, want to kill this game off straight away. It start off with Ahmed hits it right to Ustavi, and you really see early in the second half, it looked like Vancouver was just going to sit back. They really want that away goal to really put all doubt, and I like that when it comes to a head coach that is is very aggressive when it comes to that. I mean, I know not every head coach would think that that's a great idea, especially when you face the likes of Inter Miami. But if there's one thing I've said about Inter Miami, and I said it in the emotion index, it feels like that fear factor of Inter Miami is starting to go away. I mean, they look very beatable, and especially with the way that their defense have looked really wobbly, just like what we saw last season as well. You can definitely go at this Inter Miami team. They are going to give you chances. You shouldn't be just afraid to just kind of sit back and absorb all kinds of pressure against Messi and friends. And I think that's kind of what Sorensen thought. He's going to play that fearless kind of factor. He's going to go for it, trying to get that get that away goal first. And that paid off in a big way because in the 50th minute, Brian White would score from Berhalter to make it 1-1 in this game, and of course, it has to be Brian White. I mean, he's been the star of this Whitecaps team and really been the talking point throughout this CONCACAF Champions Cup run. If the Whitecaps end up winning this whole competition, there is no doubt that Brian White is going to win Player of the Tournament. He's been just absolutely a man scoring crucial goal after crucial goal every single game, and like I said, that was a crucial away goal that might have just killed the game off for Vancouver. And if that Owago didn't do it, then this one probably did it because in the 52nd minute, just 2 minutes after Vancouver tied the game up, they take the lead in this game as Pedro Vite, he scored from Berhalter to make it 2-1 in this game. By the way, Berhalter did pick up a yellow card in this one, and that's bad news for Vancouver because, yeah, he's already picked up a yellow card in the first leg, and unfortunately, the CONCACAF Champions Cup has this really dumb rule where if you pick up two yellow cards in the final for these two-legged affair, you're going to be suspended for the final. So yeah, Berhalter is going to be suspended for the final. That is a huge loss for this Vancouver Whitecaps team because what he can do in the midfield and dictate the midfield and also create the chances as we see in this game, that could be a big loss for the Whitecaps heading into the final against one of these Liga MX's team. But at least for this game, he was definitely instrumental again and getting 2 assists here. And just like that, it's 2-1 in favor of the Whitecaps. But most importantly, it's 4-1 on the aggregate. So up to this point, Miami will have to score 4 goals. Now, this was maybe a couple of if this was maybe be a couple of weeks ago, or even maybe in the beginning of the season, or maybe even last season, you would have so believed that Miami could overcome that because they have a knack in terms of scoring goals in quick fashion. But up to this point, I just didn't believe that was going to happen because when we see what Miami has done in the attack in these last couple of games, being really flat at time, and just the way that the Whitecaps, that this is a team that it's as I said before, it feels like it's a team of destiny after that Pumas resort, that this team looked like they're going to not only take it to Miami, but they might actually surprise everyone and move on into the final. I just didn't see it. I think that was pretty much game set and match. And one thing I also want to note is that, well, there's two things. One, the 300 traveling Whitecaps fans, they were definitely celebrating after that second goal comes in, and what a moment it is for those fans, and certainly for Whitecaps fans, and even for Canadian soccer as well. This is a historic day for Canadian soccer, and also for the Whitecaps in general. This is going to go down as probably the greatest day that the Vancouver Whitecaps have ever had in franchise history, and a moment that we'll remember for a very long time, even 10 years down the line. And obviously the 20,000 inside Chase Stadium, they were absolutely stunned silent. But the other thing I also want to mention is the incredible bias in terms of the commentary that is in favor of Inter Miami. I mean, if you listen to the commentary in this game, you wouldn't think this is a national broadcast game. And I know I said before that I do like John Strong and Stu Holding as a pairing, but I feel like throughout this two-legged affair, I mean, it's almost made me want to mute this game. And I actually came really close of doing it late in this one because the amount of just favoritism toward Inter Miami in terms of how they deliver their tune. And I think this is where I just kind of feel like I had to write this on the board and just kind of show my frustration. Is John Strong basically said that the Vancouver Whitecaps are not an elite MLS power team this year. I mean, did you watch the Vancouver Whitecaps this year, John Strong? Like, did you see how they have been a wagon this year? To not call them an elite MLS power of what they have done in the last two months, that is just a complete disrespect. And I was very upset when I hear that, and I'm pretty sure Whitecaps fans and even some of the casual that's watching this game would feel like that's a huge disrespect toward the Vancouver Whitecaps. And I get it. Yes, the media really wants Miami to win this one. It's good when it comes to the rating and also once again promote Messi make it to the final. But in general, if you ask anybody else besides the media that who really want to win this two-leg affair, it's got to be the Vancouver Whitecaps because, as I said, they are really the people's team right now. In MLS, every team is basically rooting for them right now because they're a very likable kind of team, and that for the most part, if there's one thing I learned from about general public and also the casual fans in MLS and even in other sports as well. They do not like when media kind of overhype a team and show favoritism toward a team. It just makes them even more unlikable, and this is why Inter Miami has been just so unlikable for versus Messi and friends show up for this team, and this is another example of it. I mean, just complete disrespect for the Vancouver Whitecaps, and it just makes me mad. I usually never get that mad when it comes to commentary, and I usually don't kind of pay too much attention to that or even mention it in a video. But that just kind of was just over the line, just blatantly calling the Vancouver Whitecaps not an elite MLS team, while they have been totally been a wagon these last couple of months and have pretty much beating every single team both in league play and CONCACAF Champions Cup play. I mean that's just again a huge disrespect toward the Vancouver Whitecaps, but when they mention that they're not an elite power. But in the 62nd minute, Suarez would miss wide from close range. There was a huge shout for a penalty for Miami that was not given. Suarez then had a shot that was blocked in the front post before he had a shot that actually hit the post as he was chipped this one. He was actually offside by a mile there, but even before the offside flag came up, he was wide open in the box. Like the fact that he couldn't finish that, just to show you how Suarez is just completely snake bin this season. And I talk about before how Father Time maybe started to catch up to some of these Miami start. It feels like Father Time is really catch up to Luis Suarez. He has not been the same player as he is last season, and I really do think that this is really his final season in his career if he doesn't decided to go somewhere else. But nevertheless, in the 71st minute, just for good measure, Sebastian Berhalter, who has been the storyline of this two-legged affair. He scored from Sabi to make it get 3-1 in this game, 5-1 overall in the aggregate. You can see this Vancouver team not only have all the confidence, but this Miami D and the team just completely gave up. I mean, there was just some defensive mistake that even as bad as this Miami defense is, I mean, I haven't seen that kind of defense where they just simply gave up and just let the Whitecaps cut open at them at will up to this point. Messi then fires it wide from long range. The fans were definitely starting to head to the exit up to this point. Kamaski would then hit it right to Takaoka before Messi would hit it right to Takaoka on the free kick. The Whitecaps away fan, they were loudly chanting, and you can even hear on the field mic as well. That's one of the rare times where I see the away fans actually outsung the main supporter. I mean, they were definitely in party atmosphere, and rightfully so. This is probably the greatest night that they will ever had in supporting this team history. Messi would then puts it wide from long range, and we don't even get it stoppage time in this one because that felt like it was kind of a mercy see final whistle. As in the end, as I said, the Vancouver Whitecaps they're moving on into the CONCACAF Champions Cup final. They play the winner of the Tigres versus Cruz Azul two-legged affair. Now we don't know if this game is going to be played down in Mexico or maybe by sheer luck, maybe Vancouver might get a chance to host the final itself. But really, I just think no matter if they're playing all at BC Place or down in Mexico, again, I just feel like this is a team of destiny. This is a team that have shown time and time again. It doesn't matter what kind of adversity that they face, and it doesn't matter what kind of history that seems like it's against MLS team before. Even when they go down to Mexico, they don't care. They're just gonna keep winning, and they're just gonna keep scoring crucial goal in crucial moment. And I just feel like this is something that I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think those two Liga MX team. I know Cruz Azul and Tigres; those are really two good Liga MX team. But I think they probably are watching this game and they might be very scared coming into this one because again, this is a Whitecaps team that they're doing something that we haven't seen a lot of team able to do. I mean, some might say it's very similar to what we see with Columbus, and in some way it is because Columbus also won against a couple of Mexico team, and then they of course fall flat on their face in the final. And some might say that that could happen to the Whitecaps. That Cinderella run might come to an end, but I truly believe that that might not be the case. I think the difference between the Crew run last year compared to the Whitecaps run, the Crew they of course put up some impressive performance down in Mexico, but they really didn't face too much adversity at time. Maybe the one against Tigres, that was probably the one that they faced the most adversity. This Whitecaps team, they have faced adversity throughout. This is a team that, as I said, down in Mexico in that game against Rayados, they look like they were out of it from the get go with Rayados scoring the early goal, but somehow ride out the pressure, able to get those 2 goals to move on. And then even against Pumas, they pull off an impossible feat when Pumas get that second goal late. Looked like they were gonna move on easily. That was kind of like your typical free spaces disappointment by an MLS team, and then they just pull off a 180 and decided to do something I have never seen an MLS team do, which is responds late in the game to move on to the next round. And then here in this game against Inter Miami, despite all the hype that Miami gets and the media backing Miami to move on, they silence all those hype and all those media talk by moving on to the next round. Who to say that this is not really the team of destiny? Who to say that this might be a team that could actually should win it all, and probably the most unlikeliest team to do so. Yes, the Seattle Sounders, when they won it a couple of years ago, that was impressive, but you kind of had a sense that that was going to be the case because the Sounders had some really good star players and difference maker. And I'm not saying the Whitecaps don't have that. They definitely have difference maker on this team as well. But in terms of the unlikeliness, this is gonna be going down as one of the unlikeliest team that I thought would get to the final and also potentially win it on. And again, all credit has to do with this player, and all credit's also gone to Jasper Sorensen as well. What a job he has done with this team. And as I said before, he's absolutely got to be the candidate for early coach of the year this season. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review of this game. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of this game. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button. And yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.